Surprise! Hello, everybody. It is Pseudo. It is Wednesday. Jazz hands. Jazz hands, you know? Jazz hands. Jazz hands. Hello, everybody. Stop it. Stop it. I should put it this way. Stop it. But anyway, hello, everybody. It is Pseudo. Welcome to Top Draw. We are going to be doing a lot of stuff tonight. And when I say a lot of stuff, I mean a lot of stuff. I have good news. I have bad news. I have amazing news. I have excellent news. And I just have a lot of news. So how about if I just... It is a lot of news. It is. Speak up, my dear. Loudly, proudly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's rather a lot of news, actually. But do continue.
Thank you. So, as you can tell, I am joined by our editor, Occi, who has kindly stepped up to the plate to basically kick my butt in Hearthstone. It should be exceptionally fun. But let's start off with one set of news. We'll kind of go through the news throughout the show, so it's not all at one time. But one set of news. I will get the bad news out of the way first. Tonight is the very last night of Top Draw in the format you see it today. That's right. Next Wednesday, we're starting an entire brand new show on Wednesday. You are not going to want to miss it. Because you guys are awesome, I'm going to give you a heads up. We're basically bringing you a whole new show completely dedicated to Blizzard. Everything that will be covered: Hearthstone, Warlords of Draenor, Heroes of the Storm, any news that comes out about that. We've got StarCraft. We've got, just name Blizzard and we'll be talking about it. It's a whole new thing. I will still occasionally be on it giving you amazing Hearthstone news with the Marshman. But generally speaking, the format you see Top Draw in is changing. And this is a good thing because this means that this is going to be one of our last Hearthstone Top Draws. We are actually going to start moving Top Draw into other online TCGs and CCGs. And we're going to talk and we're going to play them. We're going to introduce you to them. And we've got quite a few already in the waiting wings. For example, Soulforge, which is something that I know that Marsh has been eagerly wanting to get into. So if you have an online TCG you want us to look at, let us know. Also, hello to all of you guys who are watching. Hi, Eaton. Hi, Zuliko. Hello, Danny. Hopefully you guys are having a very, very good week. Hump day. It's hump day. It's Wednesday. It's one of those things. But yes, so that's that news. Next bit of news that comes with it. Actually, no. I think I'm going to save that.
Fair enough.
Hey, I kind of want to be evil. Not really evil, but evil. But you know what I mean.
Want to get a win under your belt first?
I want to get a win under my belt first. And boy, does Aussie speak the truth. We are now going to step into Hearthstone. And we are going to be playing a Shaman deck. So, yes. Shamans. Now, because Dr. Marshmallow is not here, I, Pseudo, do solemnly swear to be a good adjunct teacher, to bring the news and the information that Marsh has made certain that I am very aware of when it comes to shamans, so that I can do a good job being a good teacher. I am probably going to be fired by Marsh after this. I can just totally see this. But I do solemnly swear, try to bring this stuff to you. So before we go into the actual shaman playing, let me get my notes up, because Dr. Marsh was like, you really kind of need to understand shamans. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So I have notes. You know how substitute teachers go, so what did you guys study? What were you studying?
Substitute teachers were the best. You never did anything on those days.
Well, in this case, you do. So, yes. So let's talk a little bit about the shaman itself. And let me pull up the game in front of us. The only reason why, by the way, that you guys actually see that I have a priest deck selected in Hearthstone currently is because of the fact that Aussie had to actually make a European account.
Regions?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want you to suffer for having to switch. So I basically conceded every single deck to him so he could just automatically get it. Good tip.
Yeah.
Good tip for anybody who, yeah.
Although I had to drudge through the intro, which I breezed through but already knew and took however long it took. Yeah, actually getting the characters unlocked with a friend, far more convenient.
Oh, I am here to serve. Okay, so
That's a good thing.
Shaman.
To serve up a can of whoop.
I can just see where this is going. I can see where this is going. You're already threatening me. I'm on to you. I see
No,
what you're doing.
I'm saying
here.
you're gonna win.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
You've been trained by Marsh. I've been trained by me. It's not quite the same.
Yes, but you are intelligently gifted with games. We'll keep track. We'll let you guys decide. This is a live show, so we'll let you guys decide. Who do you think is going to win in the battles of the starter decks? Will it be Occi or will it be me? And we'll see if I get gold stars today.
You're gonna get gold stars from me, but I sadly only have illusionary stars.
Oh, illusion. This is so unfair. Someday I'll get to the zoo, but that's okay. But yes, so the shamans, our shamans themselves have the hero power known as Totemic Call. Now, Totemic Call is, as a hero power, one of the most random hero powers. It is actually the most random hero power. It's not pay X, get X. It's pay X, have a chance, depending upon whether you have Y already on the board, to actually show up in your hand. So, the hero power, Totemic Call. Do you like shamans, by the way?
I do, both in the actual game and in this game. The actual game being the origin of Hearthstone.
World of Warcraft?
Indeed.
Okay, so when it comes to the shamans, oh gosh, I'm so jealous you're ordering Chinese. But that's okay. So when it comes to the hero power of the shaman, you get a token on the board. So it's kind of like the shaman. Not shaman. It's kind of like the paladin. The paladin gives you a 1/1 token, which is ever consistent. It is known as the baby drop bear, at least in our show. For those of you who don't know what the baby drop bear is, go to Google, look it up. But anyway, the paladin gives us that consistent piece on the board. Now, one could say that it is similar to what the shaman does because you get a totem on the board. However, as Marsh points out, it's arguably better than the paladin because, yes, you can get a 1/1, which is, I believe, the flame strike totem, or not the flame strike, or the flame totem or something like that. You do get a 1/1 on the board, but there's also a chance to get something much better. So it's about your percentages. The first time you play something, you have a 25% chance to get one of 4 totems. The next one you play, if you already have a totem on the board, that Y value, 33%. Next one, 50%. And then you have a guaranteed one. So it's kind of a matter of risk, reward, kind of, slightly.
Yeah, I personally like the taunt totem by all of them to buy you time. But there's always that chance of the spell power totem randoming in, and that's worse, essentially, if you're not playing a spell deck, or if you don't have enough spells in your deck.
I couldn't agree more. Now, the gimmick for the shaman. This is a really weird gimmick. This is called Overload. Overload, and see if I can do this in Marsh's voice. Oh boy, here we go. As Marsh puts it, Overload is amazing! Did it work? Not really.
Worked enough for me.
Okay. So this allows you to play incredibly powerful spells kind of in installments. It's an overtime thing. When you play an Overload card, it will tell you how many mana crystals are going to be locked the next turn. Now, this is a difficult thing to master. It's sort of like the Warlock, where you have to sacrifice health in order to gain a card. You sacrifice a resource to gain a card. In this particular case, Overload, you sacrifice crystals on your next turn. Now, you can do amazing. I've just got Marsh's voice in my head. Anytime I say amazing, I just want to do it that way. But anyway, When it comes to using the overload ability, you have to keep in mind that you're going to have to give up a resource, and that resource could make you cry. So, for example, let's say you're on turn 3 and you play the Feral Spirits, which puts down 2 wolves. They have no attack, but they've got health, and they both have taunt. It can be an amazing thing. You play it on turn 3, you've got 2 things on the board, you're basically protected, you can do some stuff, and then the next turn comes around, you draw that gorgeous Yeti, and you can't play it because the mana's been locked. Marcus Dinas says, I'm getting the spell power totem. Oh, I love getting it. It makes players tremble and act as a pseudo taunt totem. You're right. It is a very good thing.
Well, if you have spells in your deck.
Not necessarily, but that's the thing. It's most people don't know what's going to be in your deck. So if you play yourself a spell power totem, what you've basically said to somebody is, there is a possibility that I have, chain lightning or fork lightning or some kind of spell, and it's going to really hurt you. Trust me, you don't want to not kill it. So it is something that does kind of act as a pseudo taunt, and I completely agree with that. But back on to the overload thing. Overload, if done right, gives you great tempo into the game. It keeps you going, and it actually increases your tempo big time. Get it wrong, and you've lost tempo. So it's one of those, gotta play it well. And of course, just like with the Warlock, where you have to try to learn how to balance the resource of I'm losing my health to gain in some kind of advantage, it's the same thing with the Overload. But again, I truly agree, and this is, I think, why Shaman decks are my favorite decks. Warlock's coming in very close to that, but I truly do agree with Marsh's Overload is amazing. God, Marsh is going to kill me.
Well,
next. Oh, go ahead.
He would have to manifest.
Yes, we'd have to summon the Marsh in order for him to be able to kill me, and unfortunately, we didn't have enough Chuas or other small rodents to summon him today. But that's okay. Next up on the chopping block is the special gimmick that is basically known as Wind Fury. Wind Fury... When I first started learning how to play Hearthstone, and I was basically, these were behind closed door training sessions with Marsh from a while ago, before Top Draw really kind of pushed itself into the place where it's at now. But Marsh and I were talking about Shamans, and we were playing some games, and he kind of was like, what are you doing with Wind Fury? And I didn't understand what he meant, and I get it now. Wind Fury may seem like the best and most awesome thing like ever, because you get to double attack with your 9/5 creature and nom nom. Kind of. What ends up happening is it kind of acts a little bit like... I lose 2 gold stars. Even you guys are against me. I will get to the zoo, darn it. But when it comes to Wind Fury, it does kind of act like a pseudo taunt. If you put it onto a piece, one of 3 things is going to happen. 1, that piece is going to die that turn because you're using it to clear the board. And it's just that piece is not going to have enough health on it in order to survive something like that. 2, it's going to die next turn because it's that much of a threat, even if it's a 2/1 creature. And I don't know at that point in time why you would want to give Wind Fury to a 2/1 creature, because it's got 1 health that will die. Yeah, it's definitely a waste. Or 3, something else. So those are your 3 options. Something else. But, yes, so you can kill creatures with it quickly. You can do a little bit of extra damage, or you can kill one thing and do some extra damage. But generally speaking, it's only viable on a couple of cards. So you've got like the Worgen, you have the Wind Fury spell, and Doomhammer. Those are the cards that are going to be the most beneficial from it. And
I'd say to a degree also, if you have blockers in the way, you could get away with playing Wind Fury more so than if you were rolling with few taunters. Because by having a taunt in the way, you're at least prolonging the life of that priority target.
This is very, very true. Although it's sometimes incredibly difficult, and most of the time I think that would only work if you were doing a control deck. Because, yeah, Just saying. I mean, when you have a control deck, you have things in place to keep you alive and keep certain cards alive so they can do a bit more damage. But yeah, that's how it works. Speaking of control versus aggro, just like with the Warlock, the Shaman itself can play, especially with its particular class cards, very well into either an aggro deck or into a control deck. And believe it or not, there is a special bit of combo breaker. We really shouldn't do live top draw shows. Live top draw shows equate to me going slightly insane. But no. See, we usually edit that part
Cinder
out.
and I'm Glacius?
Sure.
That's how we're doing this?
Sure. But when it comes to the Shaman class cards, there's actually combo possibilities in there. And you've got things like the ability to do Wind Fury Bloodlust, which is sickening. I have done a game where I have almost OTK'd somebody because of Bloodlust. You don't want a Shaman to have many pieces on the board. You really, really don't. Let's see. But they also can do removal very, very well because of the different spells, abilities, and of course, hey, if you need to, you've got the utility of your class, your hero power. I was about to say your class power, but, you know, not class things. Hey, Aegon, how you doing? So when it comes to the Shaman, it's a good thing. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It is like my favorite ever. But before we go too far into the news and I bring you some news from PAX, etc., we're going to play a Shaman v Shaman game. Starter decks on purpose. I am going to be playing against Occi, and I totally expect awesome trash talking, and I totally expect you guys out there to go, what are you doing? You are an idiot, Pseudo, and it'll be great. So let's go ahead and play.
I don't need to trash talk.
Ooh, them's fighting words. I don't need to be a troll. I was so hoping for us to get Orgrimmar as the background so I could throw things at you. Mulliganing it? Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm looking at how much I'm mulliganing, and I probably should have gone deeper. But oh well.
Double Bloodlust is how Eaton...
cards.
Yeah, my deck, I'm just looking at it going, why? But Eaton says that Double Bloodlust is how he got the Platinum Key in Arena, finally. You know, I think the most I've ever done is 8. And that was with Marsha's help. Because it started to get really convoluted because I picked some really bad cards in there. You know what? Come at me, bro. I need to trash talk. So your childhood stuffed animal was a snowblower? Okay, guys, I'm looking for suitable trolling comments.
If that were true and I hugged it, I would have mutilated limbs, and that would make for a poor editing set.
Aww.
These are necessary.
Aww.
Yes. See,
Yes.
I've made you feel bad for trolling.
I know. I am so bad. I am not a troller. I'm really not. I'm not a trash talker at all. So far, I'm going well. I'm all like woot woot and stuff. Frashok. Sad face. You and your totems.
My cards dictate that I need to play totems. It's a bad sign.
Yeah, it is a bad sign.
Isn't it, though?
Come at me, pro.
Did you say come at me, pro?
No, I did not say pro.
I think you did.
I did not. Why you gotta be like that? What'd that chillin' Yeti ever do to you?
He lived. I fixed it.
You can't hold that against him. He's just a little dude. You know, he has like little dude
Oh,
friends.
but
He's
I
got a
can and
mama.
will.
He's got a mama who's probably crying.
Probably.
Eaton says Aussie sleeps with a rejuve totem.
Um, can you blame me?
Oh, that's a shame.
Get behind me.
So much taunt.
So much taunt, handle it. Woot woot. You know, when you've got multiple taunts on the board, it kind of defeats the purpose of a taunt if you've got nothing to kind of use to protect it, because...
Yeah, I've built a deck in the past that was pretty heavy into the taunt mechanic, and
How did that go for you?
there are, like, it, as you say, defeats part of the purpose of the whole deck. Like, you need something to be blocking, and you need it readily enough that, readily consistent at least, that you're not just standing in the way with all of your dudes and giving your opponent as many options as they care to have. So
Yeah.
the- trimming down their options by having good depth in your cards. And now the hard choice of to do nothing again.
So apparently, Eaton says, the Yeti is a prince, kiss him. Mm. I have now sent the Yeti on the board a kiss.
So sad. Like we didn't see that coming, though.
No, definitely not. Nope. How do I want to do this? This'll do. Ooh.
I'll take him out.
Hello, cool man. It's lovely to see you. Welcome to Top Draw. We're just doing a quick game of the Shamans. Shaman v Shaman starter decks. And then I've got news from PAX. I'm really excited to share this news. I'm like really excited to share this news. I may even dance while it's being played. I might. I don't know yet. Ooh. Ooh.
You want some?
Ooh.
You want to?
Yontu. How do I want to deal with that?
I wonder indeed.
Well, the obvious thing is we have to trade those because that's just going to be a pain in the rear end.
That is what I wanted.
Which is good because I can then bring this guy out, get rid of him,
So sad.
and then I can bring this guy out and just say, hello.
Hi.
Board clear! I has it.
That's a fact. You
Yes,
cleared
the starter
board.
shaman decks are really slow. This is something that Marsh and I have discussed on length. And this is one of the reasons I'm really excited about the news from PAX. Marsh and I have discussed about how the starter decks don't really teach people how to properly play things, and it kind of sucks. Oh, no. Oh, poor Aegon. All PAX, he couldn't find Leroy Jenkins to get his pen. Oh, sad face. How do I want to do this? Ba-dum-ba-dum.
With a great deal of enthusiasm.
Ka-ching. Whack.
Such as that.
Ka-ching.
It's a
Whack.
play.
Ka-ching.
That's so sad.
Yay! Progress. I am making it. This is a really slow game. It's
Have
great.
you know that can't do anything about that.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of those.
I'll tell you what. Just for you, I will break the church windows.
If and you got to, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm almost like worried. Like you're gonna come out and like whack us. But as we know, the starter decks kind of lack. They do kind of sort of have something a little bit special missing, and you know. Wow. That really sucks.
Problem is, I couldn't solve the problem. I could only try to mitigate it. If you hadn't used the Voodoo Witch Doctor, though, Yeti would have gone away.
Yeah.
Even with Ancestral Healing. So, it was a good sequence for you.
Very good.
looking
And
pretty-
you
pretty
have
tragic.
pretty much given me a pain in the rear end because,
That's not
yeah.
bad. I already see your counter.
Yeah, I do too. It's just, wow.
It's gonna neutralize some
Okay.
stuff. But
Let's do this.
Get behind me.
oh, really?
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yes, because now you're down to 17 health. You may have something up there that has 6 health, but I've got many taunts. Handle them! And I don't get Bloodlust in the starter deck, I know, and that really makes me sad. And believe me, I'm looking at you with just this hope and praying. But yes, there's not really any board clears either. So, like the Flame Lash, I believe it is, or something like that, it's not there, which kind of sucks, but you know. Yep. Ah, nice, nice. Now I've got to figure out some way to handle that. Yay, Wind Fury. Oh no! Come on, deck, give me something to counter this.
Dun dun dun!
Dun 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 da da. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
that's sad. That's sad. But you had a bit of board position I had to deal with, so what you gonna do? Hi there.
This is so bad. I'm like, I've got a lot of creatures, but they're all zeros. You know, it's like 0, 2. It's like,
Don't worry.
we're gonna be mirroring each other.
Like, right. I do that. I get countered, but I got to. Gotta get on the board with it. I should have done it the other way and got a point in at least. Uber fail. Considering it's 1 point of damage, maybe not. Hi there.
I'm just sitting there going, you know, this is gonna be horrid.
This is quite literally what the show name is, Top Draw. We're just trying to draw something that can fix the problem we're dealing with.
Yes, we definitely want to top deck something amazing. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? That ogre is amazing. Amazing! Marsh is gonna kill me.
Again, has to get to you first.
Quite so.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, hi. So how do I want to do this? Nope, not that one. We're gonna do that first. We're gonna do that next. And do. I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fair
Please
enough.
come again. I want my ogre. Where's my ogre?
Get behind.
Come on. Oh dear.
It's all luck of the draw at this point. And that's not good for me.
That's if I can play this well. You're right. So, how do I want to do this? That.
The lesser of two evils.
The lesser of two weevils. Yeah. And not what I meant to do. But hey, what do you know? Come at me, pro.
Just keep chipping away at the circumstance and hope.
You know, I wonder if we're actually going to like totally mill someone down. How are we doing for our cards? We've got 13 cards left in my deck. Oh my.
It would be a sad, sorry end to what has been a rather slow game. But
You know what? Screw it. Go away.
all of the things?
All of the things.
All of the things.
All of the things.
Sacrificing all of your board advantage.
I
Now
still
someone
have
might
board
actually get
advantage.
milled
Thank
to
you
death.
very much.
Get
Sure you do.
behind me.
I do.
Sure you do.
I do.
Sure you do.
I do. Stop trying to confuse me.
Not really trying any longer, am I?
No, because I am very much so confused. This is so bad. We're like, we'll make this a quick game of...
We never said that.
Yes, it was. It was a quick game. Aw, damn. You's gonna own me. Stop touching me. Ah.
I feel so bad about using that, but oh well.
Oh, dang. Yeah, you may have just totally owned me.
You sacrificed board position. Shouldn't have, especially not now.
Well, that's the
Now
thing.
actually
That
drew a good
that
card.
you would have chipped me away. Period. Had I not taken care of that. Because
Yeah,
that
yes,
bold
it
fist
had to be
ogre
taken.
was that big. It had to be taken care of. So
There had to be
so
something
far,
done
I've
to it.
made, truly, in my opinion, only one mistake in this game so far. One very specific mistake, and that was a while ago.
What was the said mistake in your opinion?
Give me 1 second. Do 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 do. That's really gonna do flip all for me.
As I said, at the point where we were both tapped out, it was luck of the draw.
Let's get that going. For me, when I went and I hit you twice, I should have hit once and then hit you, because I would have made it so that no matter who you attacked, you would have died anyway. So it was a risk. But, you know, that's how it ends up happening. See, I told everyone I was going to get my butt handed to me. I am dead next turn, and I can guarantee you I can pick up nothing that will protect me.
I had a charger that I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to use him.
Lovely.
Oops.
And I concede to thee. And now we can get to the PAX information. Told you I'd lose.
But before you do.
Oh, are you showboating?
Ah!
You're showboating.
No, it's just Russia. Every shaman has to do it to kill people, right? It's like in the bylaws of being a shaman.
Oh, sad face. Okay, so we've now gone through, and I've basically allowed my my butt to be handed to me through Hearthstone. However, like I said, we've got more news.
Allowed.
Yes, I have allowed it. That's my story,
thank you.
and I'm sticking with it.
I
Gotta make my
appreciate
guests feel welcome,
your
right?
charity.
Yes. Okay, so PAX news. Everyone hopefully was well aware of some of the amazing announcements about Hearthstone that came out at PAX, including something called Naxxramas. Now, if for those of you who are frequent watchers of our shows, you know one of the number one problems that we have had with Hearthstone is the fact that their teaching process, their tutorial style, seems to kind of lack, for want of a better term. Now, there's something amazing happening with Nax, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the floor presentation from PAX that Mispa picked up while he was at PAX. I want to apologize at the start because there are a couple moments where some idiot decided to bring the microphone too close to the mic or to the speakers, and it made a little freaky sound. Feedback sound. That's the word I'm looking for. It made a small little feedback sound, and it was just frustrating. But it kind of disappears after like just the start of things, and the information they reveal here is mind-boggling. So what I'm going to do is we're going to sit back, we're going to play it. This is roughly about 10 minutes. It's got Eric Dobbs, and it has Chris Chase, I believe his name is, doing the presentation of what we can expect. And when we come back, we're going to tackle this, and we're going to discuss this in the manner that most befits us. Yeah, we're basically going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the undead. So, sit back, enjoy. Here you go. It's from PAX.
My name is Jason Chase, and I'm the production director for Hearthstone. This is Eric Dodds. He's the game director. So we are both really excited to be back here at PAX East. It's been exactly a year since we announced Hearthstone at PAX East 2013. And we're really excited to talk to you guys about where we're headed with Hearthstone next. Okay, so before we do that, we just wanted to do a quick recap of where we've been over the last year. So some of the big releases we had over the last year, we got to closed beta with Hearthstone last August. This was the first time people had a chance to check out some of the cool modes and cool features we put in the game. Made it up through the open beta in January, and this was great for the dev team because we had a chance here to really respond to some of the feedback we had over the course of the closed beta. And then made it to our official PC launch just this past March. And super excited to have announced that we just passed 10 million accounts of people playing in Hearthstone. And that brings us to this month, where we're right now in the middle of the rollout of Hearthstone on the iPad. So we've actually at this point launched the game in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and we're now just about a week or two, really within the next week, we're thinking we're going to be able to launch it globally. So very close to getting it out on iPad. So the next question is, what's next? Where are we going with Hearthstone from here? A lot of these things we have up here on the list have a lot to do with the features in the game and getting it on platforms. And one of the things we haven't talked about in a while is what are we doing in terms of new content and new cards and sort of different ways to play the game. So that brings us to today. And one of the things we talked about at BlizzCon last year was this idea of adventures. And this is a mode of playing in Hearthstone that we're all super excited about, and we think that everybody will be as well. The idea behind adventures, it's a whole new way you can play Hearthstone. It's essentially a string of single-player duels where you're going to go up against a very challenging AI, all sort of like thematically linked together, and you'll also have the chance to win new cards as part of going through the adventure. So today, in terms of talking about where we're headed with Hearthstone, we're very happy to announce our first adventure for Hearthstone, and that's going to be the Curse of Naxxramas. So let me talk to you a little bit about what Naxxramas is. So Naxxramas is a huge floating ancient necropolis It was essentially built by a race of intelligent arachnoids called the Nerubians. And within Naxxramas, there's all kinds of nasty stuff. There's undead, there's spiders, and all kinds of stuff pulled out of your nightmares. It's based on a very popular World of Warcraft raid that was originally released with the initial version of World of Warcraft, and later re-released with Wrath of the Lich King. And this is a dungeon that a lot of people have a lot of affection for, a lot of nostalgia for. And in terms of what you'll find inside Naxxramas, there's a string of really tough bosses that are essentially being ruled over by an uber boss who's the Arch-Lich Kel'Thuzad. So with that, I'm going to go and turn it over to our game director, Eric, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about what it means to have Naxxramas inside of Hearthstone.
Okay, so what does it mean gameplay-wise? Naxxramas in Hearthstone is going to be a series of 5 wings, each of those wings being representing the five quarters of Naxxramas. And what you're going to see in each of those wings is a series of bosses where you play each boss sequentially, and when you defeat a boss, there's going to be a specific, unique card that you get that is added to your collection that you can either play in single player or multiplayer, you know, any way you want to play that card. And when you complete a wing, then there's a treasure, a legendary card at the end of the wing to sort of reward you for defeating that wing. So these bosses are going to be a little bit different than the characters you've seen before. You're going to have to play a little bit differently to defeat them. This is Hygen the Unclean. He's a boss who, his hero power does damage to a character on one side of your board. So normally when you throw a character out in Hearthstone, you throw it out on the left or the right, or you don't really care. Against this character, you're going to pay a lot of attention to where you're throwing the character out. And not only will they have hero powers like this, they're going to have a number of cards in their decks that you're playing against that you won't have seen before, and you'll have to play differently around. So you're just going to be playing very differently and thinking very differently playing against these bosses. Another way you're going to get cards besides the cards you get for defeating each of these bosses is with class challenges with pre-made decks. So what that's going to mean specifically is after you defeat a specific boss, some of them are going to have class challenges. And a class challenge will be like, hey, you've defeated this boss, now can you defeat this boss with a warrior deck that we made for you that we're providing that's going to make you think very differently again in how you defeat that boss. And once you've defeated that boss with that class challenge, then you get a class-specific card that, again, you can play single player, multiplayer, etc. So there will be a card for each class, as well as all of the neutral cards we're going to be putting into Naxxramas as well. There's going to be a total of 30 cards that you'll be able to acquire in Naxxramas, and what's actually cool about that is it's a small enough number that when you're first introduced to them, you're not like, oh my goodness, there's so much new content, I'm overwhelmed, the game is totally changing from the game I know already. But at the same time, these cards are pretty different, and so they're going to change the way people are playing the game. We very much expect them to change both new players' experiences and high-level legend players' experiences. We expect there to be cards that change not only some high-level legend strategies, but also ways that you can respond to certain deck strategies that are very powerful right now. So we expect the meta to change based on these cards. So here's a couple of the cards that you will be seeing in Naxxramas. As you can see, they all have deathrattle on them. That's because the theme of Naxxramas is death. Kel'Thuzad the Lich, he's all about death, and so you can expect to see that theme all throughout the cards. So what you see is us taking a mechanic that you've seen before, deathrattle, and exploring it and going in new directions with it. So you'll take these cards that you've had before that do deathrattle, and based on some of these new cards, you'll have to think about them differently. Like Kel'Thuzad, who, when a deathrattle trigger affects, it goes off twice. So it means you might think again about putting a Harvest Golem in your deck, because when it triggers, you're going to get 2 of the damage golems if Baron Rivendare's in play. So you're going to think pretty differently about the decks you're building. And in fact, with a card like the Undertaker, you might be interested in building an entire deck based around deathrattle, because you put this guy in deck, and then you're going to want to fill your entire deck with deathrattle cards. So it's going to change dramatically the way people are playing Hearthstone, and yet it's going to be the same game you already know. And now we're going to talk a little bit about how we're going to get Naxxramas out there, and back to Jason Chase.
Okay, guys. So yeah, next question: how will you get Naxxramas? Well, one thing we're kind of excited about here is we have a pretty fun event linked to the rolling out of Naxxramas. So the idea is that there will be each of the quarters that Eric was talking about, the Arachnid quarter, the Construct quarter. Those will all be rolled out a week at a time. So you'll be able to download all of Naxxramas, and then essentially week 1 comes around, the first quarter is available, you can defeat all the bosses, earn the cards. Week 2 comes around, the next quarter rolls out, and so on, all the way over the course of a month. So kind of Naxxramas month. One thing we're pretty excited about that as well is that as each wing is rolled out, those cards will start showing up in the arena. So players who are participating in that mode will get a chance to get a sampling of what these new cards are, and as each new wing runs out, those cards will also be rolled into the arena as well. So it'll be gradually introducing all the people in the game to all the various new cards that we have available. The first wing, the Arachnid wing, will be free at launch during the first the month of Naxxramas coming out. So we're pretty excited about that. Everybody will have a chance to check it out and get a feel for what's in store within Naxxramas. And then beyond that, we'll be making it so that anybody can unlock the subsequent orders, either by spending the gold they have in-game, or real money if they prefer to go using that option. Now, we actually don't have Naxxramas here available for play at the show yet today. The team back at Blizzard is working on it a lot, and really excited to get this out as soon as possible, but we are pretty close. So the good news with all this is that we're looking forward to releasing this summer. The team is actually making great progress with it, and overall excited to get it out to everybody to be able to play pretty soon. The last thing here is kind of a piece of art that we think sums up pretty well what we're going for with Naxxramas, essentially bringing a little bit of evil back into the Hearthstone Tavern. And so one thing I definitely encourage all you guys to do is we actually do have Hearthstone playable here on the show floor, running on iPad, so you can get a sneak peek at what that experience is going to be like before that rolls out here very soon. And the last thing from us is we just wanted to, again, thank everybody from the community for all the great feedback we've had on Hearthstone over the last year. There's no question from us on the dev team that the game wouldn't be where it is if not for all the great feedback and the response we've gotten. So thank you very much for that. And we very much look forward to matching up with everybody and dueling online.
Just wow. So yeah, that is Eric Dobbs and Jason Chase from Hearthstone development team. That's the game producer and the lead producer. I can't remember their names or their titles. This makes me feel bad. But anyway, so yes, we now have content coming out. Now here's some interesting things that come to mind for me. One, they didn't mention metagame. They just mentioned sort of like endgame. I guess terminology is terminology. It's one of the things we've discussed on the show, and it's kind of worth noting. So we have the Curse of Naxxramas coming out in the summer, which means, they have done the quote-unquote official release back in March, and then, 4 months or so down the line, we've got our first real set of content patching going on. When it comes to TCGs, I guess you have to be very careful how you release the next set of cards. There are over 10 million accounts, and I stress accounts, that are playing the game, which means who knows who you're going to run across while you're playing. But, so yes, this is a single-player expansion. It is not a raid expansion, something that they've discussed that they're going to be doing at some point, but it is a single-player expansion, and it sort of tackles one of the biggest issues that Marsh and I have had, and that is help people learn how to play by giving them pre-made decks and saying, okay, now learn how to play this way. And that's one of the tutorial things that we really wished was built in. Don't worry, Coleman, we've got a lot of content from PAX. I mean a lot. Let's just say we have a whole lot of interviews. We've got a whole lot of panel things that have done, and we're going to be bringing all of them to you, all of the stuffs that we've got our hands on. But anyway, the single-player thing, the single-player adventure is Nax. It's going to be staggered across 5 weeks for when it's being launched out. The first week, or the first month, is free for the first wing of Nax. And then you need gold in order to get the rest by either paying for it or using the gold that you have. Now, I am going to be really curious how they do things. I mean, everybody who's done rating of Nax, either the 40-man Nax or the 25 or 10-man Nax, knows the safety dance from Hike and the Unclean. And that is the everyone move, everyone move, everyone move. I wonder if they're going to have the board set up in a manner that allows you to pick what side you want to have certain creatures. Bless you, Gwents. So I'm going to be really, really curious to see just how that all works. And yes, packs themselves do have clips from the actual big panels. That, however, was a floor demonstration, which is a little different than their bigger panels. But yes. Let's see. Deathrattle. Yeah. Eaton pointed this out earlier in the show. Deathrattle. Deathrattle is a little bit nuts. In fact, battle cries and death rattles are two parts of the cards, either class cards or even neutral cards that can make or break a game. For example, if you guys remember when I played Marsh in the rogue cards or in the rogue decks, I had things like the ability to throw Marsh's cards back into Marsh's hands. Yet, if I did that, the battle cry would hurt me a lot. So I had to make choices of I can't use this card because to do so means that I'm basically going to just give him more advantage. And yet there are going to be times where death rattle, or I should say battle cries, are not going to be as useful and things like that work. And I think, in all honesty, rogues themselves with that one card may have a little advantage when it comes to death rattle. Oh, that card's going to die? No, let me put it back in your hand. Oh, that card's going to die? No, let me put it back in your hand. So there could be some rather interesting mechanics in the metagame that way. I am going to look forward to seeing what occurs with this. I'm kind of excited. They're bringing 30 cards, which means there are 30 cards. There's 30 cards per deck. It would be interesting to see if someone actually decides to play a class and just literally plays 30 death rattle cards and doesn't care. It probably won't be a wise thing, but it would be really interesting to see if someone actually does take that route. I'll also be really curious to see what kind of cost each of these death rattle cards will have. One of the cards we saw was a 1 mana cost, and it'll be interesting just to see if there is going to be a certain curve that comes from using a pure death rattle deck. Ooh.
So, for those who aren't completely aware, death rattle, is it an effect when the card is being destroyed, essentially, which is the going out effect as opposed to the battle cries coming in effect? Correct.
The battle cry is, I am now on the board, wah, I do something. Death rattle is, I curse you. That's kind of, it's thank you. That's my awesome death rattle. As to does the priest have mass silence? I honestly don't know right off the top of my head. It may be a card that's out there, but silence is, you know what's going to be really popular in this? Silence cards. The owl. That gorgeous owl that silences. I mean, one of the things we talk about are certain cards that are neutral that are kind of like should be in like all decks. Like Chillwind Yeti is just one of those really awesome cards that just should go everywhere. There's also the Slime Ooze, another really good card. Even if you don't have an opponent that is using weapons, it is still a 2/3 for a 2. Or sorry, a 3/2 for a 2. And it's kind of nifty and nice, but you know.
Aside the silence, there's also essentially control removal like Hex and Polymorph and such.
Exactly.
Where you are altering the card sufficiently that you're removing its death rattle without addressing whatever it is.
Exactly. It almost seems as if the death rattle card decks are going to be more aggro. And of course, as we've discussed on this show before, the best way to defeat an aggro deck, play a control deck. Play a deck that has you controlling the battle cries, controlling the death rattles, controlling just what your turn clock really is, and that allows you to have so much control over the tempo. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in metagame and what changes these are going to bring.
Speaking of, they did mention meta once. It was towards the end.
Terms.
This might change the meta.
Yeah,
probably.
It's not a might. It will change it. Anytime you introduce new cards, you are changing the meta, especially if someone figures out a really cool and unique way to do something. For example, way back when Hearthstone was still in beta. They had during BlizzCon the competition, and the winner had built a priest deck that didn't use Lightwell the way most people would think of it. It was more or less every time there was a card, and man, I wish I could remember it off the top of my head, but every time you basically healed, it was actually damage instead of healing because of one of
Priest or something.
Something like that. It was really, really awesome. But that kind of stuff is what shapes the metagame. And I don't know if you can actually post a link, Cool Man, because, Nightbot's being really weird right now. You can try... Actually, let me see this. Let me try this. Allow Cool Man. Maybe? Yes, you can now post a link. Ta-da! And hello, legendary Jordio. Haha. Mass Dispel is going to be... Yeah, priests are going to have fun with this, I think. They really are. I also really kind of hope that someone takes a paladin deck and turns it into a Death Knight deck. Because to me, the deathrattle would do that. You're no longer bringing the light. You are bringing the dead. And it will be interesting and exciting and thematic. Now, I am glad to see that they are at least looking at some of the other TCG strategies and kind of following suit. I mean, the Curse of Naxxramas is going to be thematic, and this is something that is occurring in quite a few online TCGs for their training sessions. For example, Magic 2014 has thematic duels, and I cannot wait to see what they do with this. I'm actually really, really, really excited. I am excited, but I'm also, I'll be honest, a bit nervous.
Why are you nervous? What could possibly go wrong?
That comment alone pretty much sums it up. When it comes to things like TCGs, any cards that are brought in have to find some kind of natural order and balance. We know that they've made the last kind of sweeping change to the cards. I wonder if we're going to find them bringing these great cards out and then going, oh, wait, you know what? Now, no. We're going to need to actually change this. And I do believe all the new cards are neutral, yes. When you go up for the class challenges, though, who knows? Maybe you'll get a class-specific card. They have not explained that one out yet, so that's one of those things. One of those exciting things we'll have to find out. But yeah, I am looking forward to it because it's new content. It's single-player content, which in some cases, believe it or not, people, there are people who play TCGs online specifically because they're not sitting against somebody playing, but they're just playing a game against a faceless AI. I just hope that the work they've done on the AI is strong enough. Did he actually say that they were all neutral? I may have missed that. So if that's the case, then yeah.
I myself enjoy playing TCGs online because it removes some of the stress of competing directly with someone when I want to just test a theory of cards or try to better understand how the cards work together. And some TCGs online do allow that, where you're testing as opposed to just battling and competing and suffering through whatever trolls may sling at you.
I think it depends. I mean, one of the very key things about building decks that we tried to teach in previous episodes is play them. You need to play your decks to get used to them. If you don't play your deck, you don't know what to expect. You can't plan for scenarios, etc. Legend says, is it really different from playing against a computer or a real person in Hearthstone if the computer is actually doing good moves?
Here's, from what they were talking about, they're not going to be playing traditional Hearthstone. The computer has a preset series of cards that are unique and different from what a normal player would have. If it's anything like the way Magic the Gathering did it. And there's going to be a system and a formula for what they can do that's just different from what you can do. You're going to have to figure out how to overcome that challenge. So you got to think about your cards and how they function, not just traditionally, but in new and different ways that you wouldn't have thought of without that prompting.
Yeah. For example, I'm really looking forward to the Hike and Dance. because it means we can break out the SSSSAAAA. I'm not going to go into the entire song, but safety dance. Yes, so.
Also, with class challenges, I like the concept because they take away your freedom to make a deck that is optimal. And they say, use this other thing we've created, and can you make it work? Which also makes you think about the cards deeper than just, this is the flavor of the moment, best in, whatever the landscape that you're competing at.
I have to say, I'm looking forward to it because you will have those class challenges, which may teach you to play a class in a completely different manner than you've ever played one before. I am really looking forward to seeing whether they're going to do sort of what Magic did. Magic had it so that the decks were pretty much the same from top to bottom. It's not like it got shuffled each time. I'm going to be curious to see if they add that implementation to the AI, or if it's always going to be this order of cards that they play. It's always going to be this, set of cards in this order at this time it's going to play. You reach a burn phase, maybe he'll play something else. I'm going to be curious to see what elements of actual raiding within World of Warcraft they actually bring into the TCG, and what that impact is going to have on the game itself. Because if it's always going to be the same, like one of the decks in Magic, you knew exactly what cards were coming and in what order in that particular single player mode.
But why did you know?
Because you played it
already lost
repeatedly.
And that's the reason it would work, because after you beat it, they're then going to a class challenge. It's not just farming the same fight that you already know. It's you're probably going to die to a mechanic you don't understand, and then you're going to retry, and then you're probably going to die to a second mechanic you don't understand, and you're going to retry, and eventually you're going to get through all the mechanics and understand how the fight goes, and then the next time you want to fight that fight, it's like, well, the fight. It wouldn't be a challenge. Here's a class challenge instead. I'm hoping that's how they do it. Well, I hope it is regulated down a specific avenue of card progression for the AI, because chaos just in their card draw could make them unlucky, and that could make it an easy fight when it should be a very hard fight.
Well, see, I kind of agree with that, and I kind of disagree with that at the same time. This is why I love TCG so much, because you have this kind of dichotomy of, yay, that's a great idea, but at the same time, is it really? If you have the kind of situation, like, for example, the reason why I knew that in one particular Magic single-player duel that I was doing, that it was repetitive, is because it was literally repetitive. There was no change. It was the same 3 cards in the same order every single time, period. It made no difference. It's after you play it for like the first 4 turns, you're kind of like, yeah, I know what's coming next. Yep, I'm right. Yeah, I know what's coming next. Yep, I know I'm right. But at the same time, one of the things that makes TCG so amazing is that randomness. I mean, how many times back in the day when you were raiding in World of Warcraft did you go up against, say, Onyxia, and even though your 40-man raid group had dropped her time after time after time, she gave you trouble. She was just a stubborn dragon that just kept wiping the group. And it just happens occasionally. I want to kind of see that in this. I want to see the randomness. I want one day when you go up against it to be hard and the next to be easy. I like that kind of randomness.
In most raids throughout the game that I remember, it wasn't really random. It was based on performance. If you performed well and your raid performed well, you could down a boss that you could down. And if you and your raid didn't perform well, you might not. And that would be true with your deck as well. If you drew bad, that would be the side of chaos. Like, if you had bad draws and the opponent has the same draw every time, there's still an element of chaos on your side. But if you make the opponent random, you could take away their advantage, which is already artificial and needs to be implemented because they're AI. They can't adapt the same way a player could. They have to have some sort of advantage, and in other games, not necessarily TCGs, but I play a lot of strategy games, they have to allow the AI to cheat to keep up with a human player, because they can't adapt.
Perfect example, Civ 5. They cheat. I swear they cheat. They really, really do. There is no way Russia can have that much land, have no money, be losing so much gold, and still be okay. Just saying. Speaking
of Civ 5 for only a moment, yes, I tried to negotiate with them one time, and I saw that one of my opponents was making 17,000 gold per turn, because it was going to last for one turn, and that's how they implemented the keeping its economy rolling. So yeah, if you're not having an AI that can cheat and it has to legitimately compete with an adaptable, creative human, and you want the human to think outside the box, you're going to have to set the scale higher artificially, just as a baseline. Especially if your intention is progression. Like, the first boss of Naxxramas should be weaker than the second, should be weaker than the third, should be definitely weaker than Kel'Thuzad. To make that arc, you're going to have to create, essentially, higher scales of difficulty. And if Kel'Thuzad drew bad and was random into chaos, and was therefore weaker than the first boss, how bad would that feel at the end of your accomplishment? Like, that was underwhelming.
Okay, that's fair enough. But I would also throw out there, it would be interesting if they had the mechanic or something written into the code where when creature or when boss fight gets to like 25% health, this card automatically is pulled. Adding that quote unquote enrage mechanic or something like that, or that turn timer or something. We'll see what ends up happening, but it'll be interesting. Now, our weekly challenge, because we are basically running a little bit over time, and I thank you guys for your patience on this. Our weekly challenge for you guys, like I said, Top Draw in its current incarnation is ending. This is our last episode. Next week, we are starting an entire show of pure Blizzard goodness. And when I say Blizzard goodness, I mean Blizzard goodness. You are going to want to be here. But the challenge we have for you is, what game, which TCG, which online TCG would you like Dr. Marsh and myself to tackle? Right now, we're looking at things like Soulforge. We'll probably look again at Feria. There's another card game that has said you should check us out. But I want to know what you guys want us to play. If you want us to go back into Hearthstone and discuss certain things about Hearthstone, tell us. If you want us to do something in a completely different TCG like Magic, tell us. But what I need for you guys to do is let me know. Let me know what it is you are interested in, and we will start going into that. And also, thank you, Occi, for showing up. Unfortunately, we couldn't summon the Marsh, but I was able to bring in one of our editors from MMOBuff.TV to solidly kick my ass. So, yes.
Not solid.
Yeah, it was.
Complete luck of the draw.
You pizzoned me. You're all out. Take that! And it was all that. Oh, no! I was all, no! Cower mechanic. But yes, to all of you, thank you guys so much. You guys literally make my heart pitter-patter. You make all kinds of things amazing. I will remind you, we currently have a competition going on Facebook for a collector's edition of Reaper of Souls for Diablo 3 and signed t-shirts from Alex Mabry, the lead game designer of Diablo 3. Game producer. Sorry, there's a difference between producer and designer. Get the terminology correct. But if you want to get into the competition, I'll put the link in the chat in just a couple minutes. Or, well, just a couple minutes because I want to get this out. Go enter. Enter to win. We will ship it anywhere. And there will be 5 winners. 1 will get a collector's edition and a t-shirt. The other 4 will get t-shirts. There may even be lanyards thrown in. There may even be magnets thrown in. I don't know. But there you go. Reaper of Souls competition! Yay! Okay. Shame face.
Reaper of Souls.
And Occi, the creepy storyteller. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And to the rest of you guys, have a fantastic weekend. And I will see, hopefully, most of you on Friday for Cosmotronic. Because Cosmotronic, Wildstar, we've got some info. We've got some stuff from PAX. We've got some things I'm not allowed to talk about. We'll see you then. Sound good? Absolutely. Toodle pip, folks. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for watching the full episode of Top Draw 16, Shamans and Undead combined together into the Curse of Naxxramas. Rah. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. If you're interested in watching the previous episode, click the bobbly heads at the top. And of course, if you like this, please click like, share, and subscribe, and leave comments. We'd like to hear from you. Speak with you soon. Toodle pip.